Instead of using Elementor's testimonial carousel to collect testimonials and reviews, how about you use a custom post type and custom fields with a loop carousel? I'm going to show you how to do that right now. And before you complain about how complicated is this going to be, it is not at all. We're going to be using the Advanced Custom Fields plugin that you can get for free. Go to your WordPress repository, go and install it. And then inside of your WordPress dashboard, go down to where you have ACF. And the first thing we're going to do is create a post type. Now, most commonly when people are adding testimonials, they collect them from their clients or from their people, and they go and add it directly into a testimonial carousel or a testimonial widget. That is totally fine. But I'm going to show you how you can be a little bit more dynamic and use the same custom post type for different areas of your website in a very dynamic way. So what we're going to do is go and create a post type. I'm going to click add new. I've called it testimonials and the singular label is going to be testimonial. Now, when you've done that and I just click here, it will automatically create the slug for you. But if you don't want to use that and you want to call it something else, like you might want to call it super testimonial, say over here in the post type, go and do that, but make sure you are clear on what you're doing. Now over here, we are also going to add in a taxonomy or a category, and that is how we're going to make this be so much more dynamic. But the first thing we want to do is go and create the custom post type, make sure it's on public. I'm then going to click advanced configuration, and down here, I'm now going to disable everything except the title. I'm going to allow us to have full on control over what we enter in. And I don't need the editor because I'm going to add in a separate text area for you to go and add in your review. This is just to make it easier for you and maybe anyone else that's working on your website. So let's go and hit save changes. So that was the custom post type. And it's one of those blink and you miss it moments, but you will now see over here testimonials has appeared. This was all in real time. But at the moment, we don't have anything in here except titles. So let's just go into all testimonials. Let's go to add new testimonial. Look, that's it. There is just a title. If we had not unticked those other options, we would have an area here to add in content and a featured image. But I want to maintain full on control over what we do. The second thing we now want to do is go and create a custom category or taxonomy. We go back to ACF and we have taxonomies. We go and click that. We then click add new. I'm going to call it testimonial categories and the single label will be testimonial category. And when I click that, we get testimonial hyphen category. Okay. Again, if you want to change that, you could do. Now, if we just scroll down here, I could go to advanced configuration and disable loads of these options, but I'm not going to do that. The only thing I'm going to do, though, is select which post type this category goes to, because I don't want it to go to my standard WordPress post and I don't want it to go to my standard WordPress page. I want it to go to testimonial. So every time you add in a custom post type, it will be visible for you here. So we go and hit testimonial and then we hit save changes. Now we need to just go back a step. So what we're going to do is go back over to our post type over here and we should see testimonial. I then click edit. Because now we have got a taxonomy that I want to connect. Now it's technically kind of already connected, but I like to be super sure. So we know that our taxonomy, I'd already gone and selected the custom post type. Now over here, when I go to my custom post type, which was testimonials, and I go to taxonomy, there will be testimonial category, okay? You're just kind of double checking, connecting yourself, okay? It's pretty simple to do. So now we've got our custom post type and our custom category. Now let's go and add in some categories. So we're going to go over to where we have testimonial. We got all add new, and now we've got our testimonial categories. I'm going to click that and I'm going to go and add in 3 entries. I'm going to type in businesses, reviews, case studies. You might want to add in one for projects. You might want to add one in for clients. You might want to add one in for whatever you really want to go for, okay? Because this is how we're going to be so much more dynamic when we come to add this onto different pages. And you're going to understand what I'm doing very, very soon. Now let's go and add in our custom fields because we got our custom post type. We've got our categories and we've got an added 3 in. But again, if I was to go and add in a new testimonial, I just have the title. We need to go and create some custom fields. Go to ACF and go to field groups. Sometimes I wish they would just call it custom fields because field groups doesn't always make you think of a custom field, even though it has the word field group. what we're going to do is create add new, and I'm going to go and add in 3 fields. So I'm going to go and give this a title, testimonial field. The first one is going to be text area. Now, if you want to go for the whole WYSIWYG, you could do, but there is a danger that maybe if you've got a third party completing this, they might start sticking in bold or colors or italics and stuff like that. And maybe you want to have full on control over exactly how it is entered. So I'm just going to go for text area, and I'm going to call this description. And then when I click here, it will add in the slug name. Again, this is the beauty about how the ACF plugin works. It kind of creates it all for you. I'm not going to really set any validation, so you can have it as long as you want. I mean, if you did want to, so you wanted to limit it, so maybe you don't want to have any that are more than, say, 300 characters, you can go and say character limit and go and set a value in there. For the purpose of this tutorial, I'm just going to leave it blank. I'm not going to do anything in the presentation. I'm not going to do anything in the conditional logic either. So that is our first field. You can go and hit save changes, or you can crack on with the next one. The second field is going to be our taxonomy field, because we've got our taxonomies over here, the categories. But now I want to also allow you to pick one of them when you're actually filling in the field. This will make sense when I show it to you. So I'm going to go over, and I'm now going to scroll down until I get to taxonomy. I'm going to pick it. I'm going to give it a label. I'm going to call it testimonial category. Again, the field name will appear. And then over here, I'm now going to pick my taxonomy, which is why I like to do it in a certain order. Do your custom post type, then do your custom taxonomy, then go and do your connections, then go and do your fields, because now you've got everything already created for you. Sometimes people go here first and then they're trying to reverse engineer. Not always a good way to do that. So now if we go to our taxonomy, we should see over here testimonial category. Now at this point, you could just hit save changes, because that now means that when we're adding in a testimonial, those 3 options, businesses, case studies, reviews, will now be available for you to pick. But what you don't want to do is just do that, save changes and move on. You got to take note of what you have here. If you do create terms, the author or whoever's completing it could go and add in another category. And if you're okay with that, fine, go for it. But what I recommend you do is you untick that and go for save terms. If you do not pick save terms, there's a risk that when they go and pick a category, it doesn't actually save that for the testimonial. And then you're forever scratching your head going, I've ticked it. Why is it not connecting or to that category? Always go and hit save terms. Are you going to allow that review to be a singular category? So you would go for radio or select button, or can it be a checkbox? So maybe the review is relevant for businesses and case studies, or maybe not. So the checkbox, I think, is a pretty good option to go for if you're going to be sharing that review under different scenarios. And again, this is where it will become very dynamic. Let's just go and minimize that. So we got our 2 fields, and now we're going to add in a third field, and this one will be an image. I'm just going to call it image, really. Nothing much more to it. If you're not going to allow them to select it from your existing media library, then they have to upload. But I would say give them the option to go to the library. Again, it depends on who's completing this. Is it going to be just you, or are you working with a team or other authors? So have a think about that. I'm only going to have 1 image field. Oh, by the way, let me just explain. You do have options to say that, the images must be a minimum or a maximum. I would always say go for maximum. So you might want to say something like the image cannot be, say, 1 megabyte. Kind of forces people to kind of make sure they've minimized it. But again, it depends on you and what kind of people you're working with. Maybe you might say it can only be a WebP or a JPEG. For instance, there can be no PNG. So you can control that. Again, you can control things about presentation and the conditional logic, but we're keeping it simple. Now, I do want to mention that I'm going to do 1 image. So this could be a headshot. It could be a logo image. It could be loads of different things. You can have more than 1 image field. So you could have a field over here, and you might have called it profile image or profile headshot or just headshot. You could have another image field. You just go add field, and you have another image, and this could now be business logo. So you can have multiple image fields. And again, you may use some of the fields in some scenarios, but not in every scenario. So it's entirely up to you. Right, we've now got 3 fields. The last thing we need to do before we hit save changes is ensure that these fields are relevant to our custom post type. Down here, we have post type, okay? Look, there's loads of stuff here, but all you need to worry about is the post type one is equal to post. Well, that's our standard WordPress post. So if I go to our standard WordPress post, we'll see these 3 fields available for us. But when we go to testimonials, which is just over there, they will not be visible. So what you need to do is go and click here and now go and pick testimonial so that they will now be visible inside the testimonial field when we get there. Let's go and hit save changes. I hope this is all making sense so far, and please do let me know in the comments. And don't forget to go and check out our $1 business packs to help you, your clients, and your goddamn business. Go and check them out. Right, so we've now done our custom post type, we've done our categories, and we've done our custom fields as well. Let's now go over to our testimonial. We go and click all. There should be nothing there. We now hit add new testimonial, and look at that. We have the title, we have the description, the very first custom field. We have our category and it's pulling through those taxonomies, and we have our image field. So I'm now going to go and give this a title. I'm going to call it Tom Smith. I'm going to stick a fake review in there. I mean, when I say fake, I just got it generated by AI. And I'm then going to say that this is for businesses and for reviews like that. And I'm going to go and add in an image, and we'll go for this person over here. Now, one quick tip I want to give you though, if you're going to add in lots of random images, that's totally fine when you're doing headshots. Try and get a bit of consistency. And I stuck them all into Canva and I gave them a bit of a filter just to get a little bit of consistency. I know they're not completely the same in terms of tone and shade, but there is a little bit more of a similarity. If you look over here, you can see the clothing. It does kind of, there's a bit of a pattern going on. So if you're trying to get your website to look a certain way, it's not a bad idea to stick the images into another platform. And if you were going to add in logos, can you see all of my logos over here? They're all like the same size over there. So 150 by 50, 150 by 50, 150 by 50, basically. So if you want to have a certain look, you can go for. I'll tell you what, I am going to go back a step. Okay, so I'm really, really sorry for this. I'm going to quickly go and add in this image, and I'm going to go and hit publish. I'm going to add in the logo. We're going to go to ACF. We're going to go to field group. We're going to go to the testimonial fields. We're going to go edit, and I'm now going to add in another field. This will also be an image, and I'm going to go and pop in logo image like that. Save changes. Now we're going to go back over to our testimonial. Tom Smith should be available. We go in here, edit. Everything is still there. We scroll down and we now have logo image. So I'm going to hit add, and I'm just going to go and pick the Elementor logo like that. That is basically our review done. I then hit update, and I could now go and hit add new, and I could now do a second one. We go for Sally Hawkins, add in my description, but this time this is just going to be case studies and reviews as well. We'll go and drop in the image, and don't worry, I'm not going to do all 4 of them. I'm just going to show you this one, and then I'll quickly accelerate forwards to have them all created. But again, I might go and pick WordPress over here and then hit publish. So I am like adding in testimonials or reviews or whatever, but I'm assigning them to different categories. And if anyone's not guessed yet, this is how you are going to make it so much more dynamic. And I'm using the same custom post type. I'm now going to go and add in 2 more. Right, if we go back to testimonial, I've now got my 4 people. Now let's go and start putting this all into practice with our custom loop carousel. And it is not going to take long to build that at all. We're just going to go to one of our pages. I'm going to type in loop, and you could go for a loop grid or you could go for a loop carousel. Now, if you've got only 2 or 3 reviews, a loop grid would make total sense. If, however, you're going to have more, or you're going to have quite a lot building up, and the loop carousel could work really well for you as well, so that they just keep basically sliding left and right every time you add them in. Now, for the purpose of what we're doing here, I'm actually just going to go and drop in a loop carousel, because that's kind of what I mentioned right at the start. I'm now going to go and create a template, hit save if it asks you, and we only have technically 4 fields here. We got the title, the description, the category, and the images, and the logo. So we've got 5 fields, sorry about that. What I'm going to do is drop in the post title. I'm going to drop in a text field. I'm going to drop in a heading field. And then I'm going to go for 2 image fields. Now, we're not going to use all of these, by the way, inside of the loop template, okay? But I just want to show you what they do. So let's now go over to this first one. This is the post title, but it currently says post 12. Why is it doing that? Well, that's because it's still pulling back the WordPress post, but not the testimonial. So here's what you want to do. Go and hit save and back, okay? It's always a good idea to go and drop some items in and then go back in again. Now when I go and click on my loop and I go to where it says query, down here I can now select my source. By the way, over here, if you were going to do this for products, you could do, but we're only working with posts at the moment. So I'm going to scroll down to where we have query and I'm going to change my source to now be testimonials. So if you had 5 different custom post types, you go and pick the one that's relevant. So now we're going to pick that, and Jake, Rachel, Sally have popped up, and the very first one, Tom, will eventually slide in because of the carousel and the way it is set up. Anyway, now let's go back into edit template. Now don't worry about the fact that it still says post 12 because it is always going to return that as a preview. So down here where we have the settings cog, I'm going to click that, go to preview settings. I'm going to change that to be testimonial. You could have done this before me going back and coming back in again, but it's sometimes better to do it the way I've done it because then everything is consistent. Otherwise, what will happen is you will then see Tom appear and then you'll have like random stuff like posts appear, and it sometimes can like blow your mind a little bit. So anyway, we've now gone for testimonial and I'm going to say, give me Tom Smith, because he's the very first one. I hit apply and preview and Tom Smith's details now appear. Let's just hit update. Now this is where I'm going to start to rearrange things. So everything inside of it currently sits inside of one container. I'm going to pick up the name and I'm going to drop it down. I'm going to modify the size of it. Go to your style, go to your typography. I mean, I would use font clamp here, okay? And I would go REM1, REM2 and all of that. For simplicity though, I'm just gonna, rather than putting in a font clamp formula, I'm just gonna go in with something like 1.2 REM. And I'm just gonna centralize it. I'm now gonna go to my text, which even though it says lorem ipsum, that's because it's just a text editor and it's not actually pulling over the full-on description, but we'll do that in a moment. Before we do that, I'm just gonna change the typography. I'm going to set this to be an REM of a 1.1, and I'm just going to change the line height. Let's just pop this onto REM. That's looking a little bit better. If you do find though with your text editor that you get this undercarriage like return space and you hate it, just go and set it to be a -15 on your bottom and it will get rid of it. Now let's go and get the custom field to actually feed in. So go and click on the text editor. Get rid of the text, go and click on the dynamic tag over here. It looks like some stacks or loads of pancakes. Scroll down until you get to ACF field. Now you may go, ooh, post custom field. It's not that one, okay? Because we use the ACF plugin to create our description field. So go to ACF field and then you will get a spanner or a wrench. Click that, click on key, and you should see description. And that will bring over the description like that. So far, so good. Now, I am not going to use this heading field that I added in, but I just want to show you how it could operate or work. And the only reason this is here is so that you could add in some content which isn't actually part of your testimonial. So maybe you're going to go and give it a title or something which is consistent throughout every item on there, but it's not independently built per testimonial carousel post item, if that makes sense. So you may want to add in a bit of text here. What we are going to do though is bring over the category. I'm not going to show it, but I just want to show you how you could bring it over if you wanted to. So I'm just going to get rid of that. I'm going to go over here and I'm going to drag in the post info like this. And I'm just going to change the color of the text because it's not very clear at all like that. So this is just going to tell us stuff about the author, the date it was created. I'm going to get rid of all of these. Just hit the X. I'm going to click on author, click on the type, and I'm going to go to terms, okay? You may think you're going to need to go to custom. It's not custom. You go to terms, and then over here where it says taxonomy, I'm now going to pick testimonial categories, and look, businesses and reviews, because that is what we ticked for Tom. And if you don't want to have the icon, you can get rid of the icon like that. If you want to have it linked so that when you click it, it goes and shows you other ones, you can do, or you could remove the link. So I could, if I want, use that, go and align it to the center and have that showing. Now that is only going to be a good thing to do if maybe you were showcasing different websites and maybe you were going to now say this is a review for a WooCommerce website. Maybe it's for an author portfolio website or I don't know, business listing directory website. Items like that could be really, really good. For the purpose of what we're doing here, I'm not going to show it, but that is one way you could do it with the post info widget. So let's just go and get rid of that. Let's now quickly do the images, okay? We're going to click on the first image. I'm going to set it to be a full. I'm not going to bring over an image, because if I went and picked this image here, that would repeat for every single post, which kind of defeats the object of what we're trying to achieve. Instead, I'm going to click the dynamic tag, and we are not going to pick the featured image because we haven't got a featured image. We got a custom field for the image and the logo. So what we do is we scroll down until we get to ACF image field. We go and pick it. You hit the spanner and the wrench, and now we pick our image. Remember, we got two of them, image and logo image. And there you go, the image of Tom Arnold, or was it Tom Smith? Not Tom Arnold, he's the actor. Tom Smith now comes through. And what we're going to do now is just modify this. So I'm going to go to style. I'm going to give this a border radius of 1000. We're going to shrink it down. So I'm going to go and set this all to be pixel for the width and the height. And I think I'm going to go with 100 like that. And I'm going to set this to be a cover. And I'm just going to add in a little bit of a box shadow as well. And you could modify that. Now, my images have got a transparent background, which in hindsight was not a good idea. Now, down here, we're going to go and add in another image. And again, I've made it be a full. I've made sure there's no image currently in there. I go to the dynamic tag. I don't pick featured image. I go to ACF image field, scroll down spanner or wrench. Go to the key, and I now pick the logo. Now, you probably are not going to see the logo very well there. So I am going to click on the container, and I'm just going to give it a dark background color and set this to be white text. Let's do the same for the name. Let's go to the image. We know this is set to be 100 in width. Let's go to the advanced tab. I'm going to go and set this to be custom. I'm going to go and pick pixel, and I'm going to set this to be 100 like that. I know, stay with me on this, okay? I'm going to make sure there's no margin and padding. It's 100 custom width. We go to where we have background. We go and set the background color to be white as well. We go to border. We go and set that to be 1000 or 100. And look at that. It's now a perfect circle. And while I'm in the advanced tab, I'm just going to hit align self to be in the center like that. If I wanted to make it smaller, I could do. I'm just going to go back to my parent container though. I'm going to get rid of the margin and the padding. And I'm now going to control the padding, and I'm going to go for something like 30. I'm going to go to my style for my container, and I'm going to say give me about 10. And you will now see our carousel, which basically looks like this. And you can see everything coming through. However, you will notice that based on the different length of the review, everything is not kind of positioned very flat, like Elemental's there, code snippets is higher, Wordpress is further down. Let's go and sort that out. Hit edit template. I'm going to go to my text or my description, go to the advanced tab, and I'm going to hit grow. And what that will do, did you notice blink and miss it moment? Look at Sally and look at Tom. They move down, okay? Because they are one line. The images are 100. The wording there are all a fixed size of 150 by 50 pixels in height as well. So if I now hit save and back, even though the descriptions will be a little bit longer, the images, the title, and the logos are in the same place. Now, the bit you've all been wondering, when are you going to make this be super goddamn dynamic? Imagine you go and stick this on your homepage. This is everything. Why did you go down the custom post type route? We got the testimonial widget. Why didn't you just do that? Remember, we got 3 categories. I could have all of them showing at one time. I could have another page now that only shows reviews or case studies. And all you got to do is go and make sure you clicked on the loop grid. You don't have to be inside the template, just on the loop grid. You go down to where we have query. The source is testimonial. And now include, or you could go for exclude, whatever way you want to work it. I'm going to go here and I'm going to say term, include term. And now I'm going to pick my term and I'm going to say only show me, whoops, let me just type it properly, businesses. And that should now show me just 2. I mean, I've got Rachel and Tom, and then Rachel does repeat. So in this scenario, you may not want to show 3 because you've only got 2. You may just want to have it showing 1 at any one time, or just 2 at any one time. If I was to now go and say, give me reviews as well, that will now give me business and reviews. Or maybe I just get rid of business and have just reviews. Look, I will now have just, well, no, sorry, all 4 of them had the reviews option enabled. So you can start to pick and choose. But here's where it gets really, really funky cool. Let me just go and I think it was case studies. What if none of the case studies had a logo? I don't want the logo to appear. Is that going to cause a problem to what we're viewing now? Because maybe the logos only appear on the businesses and the reviews. And maybe for the case studies, we don't have it, or the other way around. Don't worry about that. Let me just go and hit update and go back over to our testimonials. So let's go over to all testimonials. So Tom is business and reviews. We're going to leave that one. Sally Ann is case studies. And I'm going to get rid of the logo, because there is no longer a logo. In fact, just make sure she is just case studies. Go and hit update. And we'll do the same for Rachel. Again, we are just going to get rid of the logo and we are going to hit update. Now I'm going to refresh the page. I have not modified the template, okay? This is still the same loop carousel and it is still using the same loop over there. Loop item 3458. Let me just now refresh the page. Look at that. The logo has disappeared because we're not using it. Maybe you weren't using the profile images for the case study as well, because it was just a case study description. You know, you can make it as long and detailed as you want. It would now disappear. If I go and click on this item or the loop carousel and I go, I don't want case studies. In fact, look, let me just bring them all back. So now I am not filtering. I've now got all of them in. This does look awkward. I accept that. But you have control over what you show and what's going to be returned back. But the point I want to make is that it can still work. So the template contains an image field. But if one of those categories, you are not utilizing that image field, you can make this work for you in such a dynamic way. And if I was to go now and go for reviews, let's go for reviews like that, and we go and pick it, we know that all of the reviews have got a logo and an image. Great. You go to case study, there is no logo. There is no logo, but it still works for you. I hope you have enjoyed this custom field tutorial, which did kind of go through the stages of post type, taxonomy, building your field. And for a lot of you, you're going to go, I knew all of that. You took ages getting to this bit. It's because I wanted to make sure that this video is kind of accessible for those that are new to custom fields and those that are experts in it. But I hope this gets you to think a little bit differently, because now, if you are handing this website over to someone and they've got a testimonial section or an area, and maybe they are using it for multiple pages or reasons, they could just use this now. And if they only have testimonial and are not bothered about a category taxonomy, fine. Again, you are giving them control so they don't get it wrong. And then the loop grid will feed everything through rather than, oh, I need to add another testimonial. You got to go in and then you add in another slide, or you go and drop the words in, done. They could very easily just go in and do this. And you could use a custom front end form as well if you want to make it easier for yourself from that side, where they log in or they go to a secret page and they drop everything in and boom, 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 it all filters through. Hey, I'm Imran from Web Squadron. You got to check out the $1 business packs. The link is in the video description. I'll keep seeing you